Welcome back, everyone, to the Kala Podcast. We deliver campus news and provide entertainment for Honolulu Community College. I'm your host, Chris, and with me today is Alan and Bryson.
Hello.
Hello.
Joining us today are two counselors, hardworking individuals from Honolulu Community College, Drake Zintgraff and Jill Teraizumi. How are you guys?
I'm doing good, but Jill definitely works harder than I do. So.
Take it back. Drake works way harder than I do. Aloha, everyone. Jill Teraizumi.
So I guess I've always wondered, how are you guys assigned the programs of study that you guys oversee? Is it like predetermined, or do you guys get to choose?
Well, I think Jill started it here before I did, so I'll let her take her first go at this one and I'll fill in after.
All right. Well, they were predetermined, but I have to say I really, really enjoy working with my program faculty and students in carpentry, welding, sheet, and electrical. So I am so lucky to have those programs.
Yeah, so mine was also, I guess, predetermined. I came in from someone who had retired, had previously been at KCC. But yeah, I mean, we're generalists as well. So like whenever students come in, like we can talk to students about other programs, but we do have those specialties. So like a lot of times we'll work closely with the programs we're assigned to get a little extra details, that we can then bring back to our whole group as well. So like we do share out updates, like Jill will share out, updates from her programs, or I'll share updates from my programs, same as the other counselors. So it's kind of cool to have a specific set of programs you work super close with, but it's also nice to be aware of all of our programs because we do have a lot of awesome opportunities here.
And then are they broken up like in specific ways? So like I know for you, Jill, you have most of the trade courses. Is there a specific way those are broken up, or is it random?
I think they had decided probably before I came that they would want this counselor position to handle these 4 Tech 1 programs. And then there's a few other counselors that handle Tech 1 programs. So I think they decided that it worked best having a couple counselors in Tech 1, couple counselors in Tech 2, and then we have our 2 specialists, Nicole and Jean, for our liberal arts counseling, and they specialize in transfer. So I think the way it works is great. We're one big family. We help each other out. Let's say if I'm sick, Drake will take my student and vice versa. So it's the way it's set up is a pretty well-oiled machine right now.
Yeah, and in case anyone doesn't know, so we do have basically different departments or divisions within the college. So we have our Tech 1, which is our, oh God, I always get it backwards, trades and transportation. And Tech 2 is our, oh boy, everyone's going to call me out on this one, but it's the other side, where it's not tech, trades and transportation. And we also have our university college, which liberal arts falls under, as well as a lot of our general ed courses as well. Communication and services, that's Tech 2. So, all right, see, it was just in the little back of my head there. And so I know, yeah, a lot of our programs, they're kind of more or less chunked into like those groups as far as counselors are assigned to, because there's some similarities between them, but sometimes it is like we try and switch a little bit depending on the needs. Like when I first came on board, our occupational safety program was actually supposed to be one of the programs I advised for, but there was such a high percentage of those students who were VA or veteran students. And so Scott Perry, who is our also an academic counselor with us, but who is a vet, still in the Guard, and is our veteran affairs counselor, he took that one, and I took on communication arts just as like a way of like, okay, since there is such a high percentage of students in that program who are veteran students, might as well let them work directly with the guy who is the expert in that matter.
Yeah, just to start it off, a very big thank you to both of you for providing so much support and help to all the students in the tech and trade fields, because me, Alan, and Chris are all 3 AEC students. So we have a lot of input from you guys, and we're just really thankful for all the opportunities you give us.
We're thankful that you read our emails, hopefully.
Yes. And just to start off with a quick icebreaker question. If you could learn any program of study from the HonCC lineup, which one would it be?
I'll go first. it would actually be the melee program. I'm just
Oh.
fascinated audio engineers, and I I joke, but I wanted to be a singer when I was younger, and I still sing on the side for fun. But I am just so fascinated when I got to step in their lab and see what they do and the magic that comes alive there. It's just an amazing program. We're so lucky to have melee. Take it away, Drake.
I was hoping by the time Jill was done, I would have an answer for that. It's a hard one. I mean, there it really is. There's a lot of cool programs that we have. Oh man, this is such a hard one. I did do some things within the communication arts world before, so I'm not going to pick that one just because it was something I did go to school for. Probably our CENT program, so our computer securities network technologies, just because it's something that has been such a big deal as far as like making sure when we're working with student information that we're keeping it safe and kind of learning behind that how it's kind of built from the ground up with like security and privacy in mind. It's been fascinating. But in the end, I probably would want to just make sure I could still come back and get into advising because it's been really an enjoyable career. And so I'm happy to be where I ended up. But what I will tell students is that I did not see my academic counselor or advisor early on. And I graduated with my bachelor's degree without really knowing what I wanted to do. And so I can tell you this, that if you just take classes in a program and you think that you're magically going to learn without thinking about it, what you want to do, you can graduate with a degree without knowing what you want to do. I did that. So it's been cool to kind of hopefully try and get back every now and then because if you do know already what you want to do, like that's awesome. Like I can tell you it's not something that everyone has, and for some people it's a hard thing. And but at the same time, if there are students who are unsure or who get into a program and learn that it's not specifically what they envisioned, it's not the end of the road either. And so that's been really cool to go on that kind of journey. And like I said, I took communication arts like classes before because at one point I was like, oh, that's going to be for me. And then I was like, oh, this is not for me. So whatever I would want to go down, hopefully it just will end up where I am now.
Okay, so these next ones are going to be our main topics for today. So the first big question would be, when is the deadline for graduation application?
Not all at once now.
It's right around the corner. We're actually gearing up. We're going out to classes and we're connecting with our students online, virtually, with appointments, and just preparing them for graduation application deadline, March 15th. And so I've been going out to my programs and just kind of connecting with them through email, and I send them a blast and hey, don't forget graduation, and so our goal is just to make sure that their classes or the application is filled out accurately and that they're doing well in their classes this semester, and that they're keeping up with all their projects, assignments, homework, right? And so it's kind of our last chance to our seniors, right, to check in with them. And we also ask, what are your next steps after graduation? Where do you want to go? What do you want to be? And so a lot of my students go into apprenticeships. So I'm providing apprenticeship workshops for them coming up soon, related to their field. And so we're trying to bridge the gap and make sure they know how to apply, where to apply, and the eligibility requirements to get into apprenticeship. So that's kind of what we're doing at this time. It's a gearing up to get those apps in. What about you, Drake?
So my gear up process is rolling out soon too. But every program, like Jill mentioned, is a little bit different. Like in some of her programs where there's apprenticeship is like the next step. There's a very specific or unique set of processes. So what I would say is if you are planning on graduating this semester, like Jill said, make sure you do it by March 15th. But yeah, do check in with your academic counselor, especially if you're not sure what your next steps are going to be. One of the things that just came out, I believe at the beginning of this month, was that if you were in a program that has an automatic admissions transfer program, so for example, for administration of justice, our students can go over to West Oahu right after to continue on for a justice administration degree. Some programs don't have that. It just kind of depends on what the setup is. And so some students might have already seen that email, but if you're graduating and you didn't get that email, or you're not sure how to take advantage, if you are thinking about transferring, that's something that's coming up as well. I believe March 1st is the deadline to accept automatic admissions offers. So if that's something that you haven't heard of before, basically for many of our programs, you complete your degree with us, you're granted automatic admissions into one of the four-year universities if they have that, universities if they have a corresponding kind of major that aligns with that. And yeah, if you're not sure if that applies to you, it's a great question to talk with your academic counselors about.
So we know that if people are going to be graduating who have a certificate and a degree are going to be filling out the same form, right? Is there a different process if students are going to be continuing at HonCC or to another campus?
Me and Jill are giving the back and forth because we're like, who's going to take it? That's a good question. So if you are thinking about continuing on at HCC after you graduate, a couple options. You can keep taking classes, but you may want to change your major, like list a change of major for the upcoming semester if you have a different goal, especially if you're receiving financial aid, because financial aid will only be able to pay for classes that are applicable to a degree plan. If you're thinking about transferring to another school, that's definitely something you'd want to have lined up relatively soon, just because depending on the school, some of those deadlines are going to come up pretty soon. And if you haven't received the automatic admission stuff, that's something where we can help you kind of with figuring out where to start with that process to kind of identify your next steps.
I think too, like if a couple of my students are gonna get a degree in certificate of achievement in welding or carpentry, concrete form, they're still gonna continue on and get the associates in applied science degree. So just note that you're gonna continue on, but you're still gonna submit that grad app in spring 2021 by March 15th. So don't forget to do that.
Do you guys know any plans on what the graduation ceremony might be? Because when we fill out our application, if we say no, then or should students say no when filling out the application?
Well, I'm on the graduation committee, so I've mentioned to my students that stay tuned. As soon as we find out more information, we will disperse that to you, and we want you to just check that box and say yes, because hopefully we can somehow honor you. But at this time, we're just told to stay tuned for more details to come. So, and if not, then we as counselors want to honor you and congratulate you for your hard work and dedication.
So if we're not going to have a ceremony, right? Should students still click yes, even though we're not going to have one? And if they do, then are they going to be contacted, or are they going to be able to participate at a later date, or what's going to happen with that one?
I think the safest thing would be is if you're thinking at all that that's something you might want to do, whether it's at the end of the semester, in the summer, in the fall, whenever there might be a ceremony, or even if it's going to be a virtual ceremony. If you're just interested at all, I would definitely just check the box just to be safe. No harm in that. Because then the worst case thing is if you check it and then they come back and they say, oh, we're going to do this thing at this time, and you're not comfortable with that or you're not interested, you can just choose not to participate from there. But if you don't check it, you won't be automatically included on some of the updates as far as availability of any type of session or something like that.
Okay, guys, did we check yes on our forms?
I don't know. I feel like I still haven't gone around to doing it, but
Pretty sure I
it's
did.
on my list.
We're here to help. So anytime, come and schedule a star balance appointment with us, and we can definitely help you out.
So when does registration for the summer and fall open for the next semesters?
So registration is actually gearing up. Class availability and I guess STAR registration, you'll be able to see those classes in STAR will be actually March 15th. And then registration for continuing students will be on April 5th. And so those are just tentative dates, but we will be getting more information coming soon. I don't know if you want to add to that, Drake.
Yeah, the biggest thing that is changing. So we actually, for the first time, not the first time, but possibly the first time, the summer list of classes came out a little bit early. So it actually came out today. So you can find on our website if you just go to the HCC homepage and let me double check that. Yes, to click on class availability, you can see the list of summer classes there. It is something that, kind of like with the past 2 semesters, I don't want to call it a draft because it's more than that. Like, this is the plan for now. But as things change with the pandemic, things may change with availability of classes or how they're offered. But for now, yeah, you can check out the summer offers now. And then, yeah, as Jill said, in March 15th, it'll be the fall class listing. And then, that first week of April 5th, I believe, can start registering for continuing students.
So we're encouraging our students to come in. Like, right now is a really prime time. If you wait all the way till April, it gets a little busy. Maybe there's not as many available slots for appointments and start balance. So we want to kind of start gearing up and have you come in early. And I know we're going to be gearing up for our advising month too. And that's just, again, to promote registration for fall. So right now is the best time to come and see us.
Like you were saying, for things getting busy around that time of year. And like last semester, I know certain classes kind of became unavailable. Like, for example, for our AEC one, some classes got consolidated. Should students expect something like that to occur again for the upcoming semesters?
I think it's safe to say at this point, anything is possible. That's what the pandemic has taught us. But one of the things that was a little unique is that, the pandemic has had trickle-down effects everywhere, with whether it be economic issues from students even to the university. And so, like, efficiency is something that definitely has been promoted. But at the same time, I know departments, and like in this instance of the AEC, there's also openness to trying to make sure that any changes are still meeting whatever the needs of students are. And so if there are things that you are noticing with issues with registration or anything like that, like we did have one where there was a time conflict between classes that were needed for students in a certain semester in one of our programs. And, we were able to spot it early and get something changed that worked for students. And so usually we'll be able to eye those things out. But if there are things that you're seeing as issues, definitely let us know, especially as your counselor. We can help to serve as that intermediary to make sure that whatever your needs are to graduate or be successful, that we can do everything we can to make it as smooth as a process as possible. Because some of the stuff we're figuring out as we go because of the pandemic, but some of the stuff is just, we want to make sure we can help the best we can. The best way we know how is just let us know what you need, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, and thank you again so much for making this process for new students and outgoing students as smooth as possible. Like you said, sometimes, definitely for me, I don't usually inquire a lot of things, but when I do, it's just really helpful to have someone that can easily answer my questions and just help me out, school and program related things.
And we're happy that you find it helpful.
Yeah, no, totally. Just a quick backtrack from the icebreaker question for if we could choose another department that we'd want to enroll in. My answer would be fashion tech, because I've just always been interested in designing clothes and outerwear and apparel, and just working with fabric in general is a really interesting department to go in. Because when I went in high school, when we came and visited the campus and we saw all the fabrics and all the dresses and all the shirts, it just looked really cool. So that would have been my answer to that icebreaker.
Is this a second career pathway? Are we hearing?
Yes, maybe so. How about you, Chris, Alan?
For me, I think I would just go for something in liberal arts, because to me, liberal arts is more on just trying to learn as many different programs as possible so that you get a sense of what you might want to go into later on. So, and liberal arts really gives you those options, whether it's history or something that deals with a lot of math or science, and it's just a great way to explore all the options that any particular campus offers. So that's what I would do.
This is hard. Maybe aeronautics because I am interested in like the astronomy and space, and I always find it fascinating. And it might be cool to build some planes and hopefully maybe rockets. You know.
Yeah, I just like that HCC offers so much, and it's kind of piquing my childhood interest in just all the things. Imagining, oh, I could be this or this or this. Just amazing.
So we mentioned registration would be March and April, right? So are there any other important deadlines or dates that students should be mindful for, whether in your specific areas or in campus, for on campus in general?
So I guess some of the other dates I can think of off the top of my head might be, well, so March 29th is going to be the last day to drop with a W. And so dropping with a W would mean you'd have a withdraw on W on your transcript. This doesn't count against your GPA, but it does count against your credit completion. And so like where that would be important is like, let's say, for example, you're on financial aid. There's something called a satisfactory academic progress you have to continue to meet, which is keeping at least a 2.0 GPA and completing 67% of your courses. I think it's technically 66.666, but 67% of your courses. And to do that, basically, with a W, that 2.0 doesn't impact that, but it's going to impact that 66% or 67%. So if you completed 3 out of 4 classes, like you got 3 C or higher grades, with 1 W, you'd be at 75%, so you'd be okay. But if you only took 3 classes and you completed 2 with a C or higher and 1 with a W, you would hit that right at 66.6%. And technically, you could be possibly in a place where you could be on financial aid suspension or probation, where you might be at risk of losing your aid money going forward. So if you're in a situation where you're not sure the impacts of withdrawing from a class would be, that's a great thing that we can talk to you about. Again, that deadline would be March 29th. So we do still have some time. But even if you don't want to wait until the 29th to start asking those questions, so if you're thinking about it, as something now, now is a good time to start that conversation. Or if you're not sure how you're doing in a class, even just reaching out to your instructor and just saying, hey, I just want to get a gauge on where I'm at so I can see what my options are. That way they can give you an idea of where you're at. As well as a lot of times, I can say when I've met with students and met with instructors, a lot of times the instructors are happy to help, but they need to know, same way that we need to know how we can help, they need to know if you need help or you have questions, and they can sometimes work with you on making sure if you do want to stick with the class that you can create plans to avoid having to take a W. Any other deadlines I can think of? April 1st, I believe, is going to be the last day that you can change your major and still be use that as your major for once registration opens right away. You can still change your major after April 1st, but it's not guaranteed to be processed by the first day of registration. And so why that's important, like if, for example, in one of my programs, in the fire program, you have to be a declared fire major to take those courses. And so if it wasn't processed in time, they would be able to register the first day. Can you think of any other dates, Jill?
Good example for change of major or having that form in by April 1st is for aeronautics or aero and EIMT, the electrical program, in order to be able to register that first day of registration with 36 credits. Your major has to be reflected in STAR and also what we call our banner system. And so it is key that you turn that in way before April 1st so that we can make sure your major is changed over before that date. So that's just a friendly reminder.
Mark your calendars, guys.
Where can students find more information on the topics that we talked about?
So they can all email Jill directly at, no, I'm just kidding. Our general counseling information can always be found on our website. It's honolulu.hawaii.edu/counseling. On that page, you can see a list of all of our academic counselors, the programs that our counselors are assigned to, email address, phone number, all that kind of stuff. you're always able to email us or call us as well in our general line. Our general email is honcounts, HONCOUNS at Hawaii.edu. Our phone number is 845-9162. And you're always able to go through Star Balance to make an appointment with us. So that's one thing that I'll want to make sure we're promoting as well. So in case students aren't aware, we have two types of appointments. One is a scheduled appointment. You can make an appointment with your counselor through Star Balance. So that's same way they would get to their Star GPS. It's star.hawaii.edu, except for Balance, it's /appointment. So if you want to make an appointment, you go to star.hawaii.edu/appointment. You can also email your counselor, call, and they can set up a time. Well, we also have what we call same-day advising. So like if you just had a quick question that you needed answered Monday through Thursday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., we have same-day advising. And so if you go to our counseling website, the honolulu.hawaii.edu/counseling, you'll see a button there that says same-day advising, Star Balance Express Kiosk, or something along those lines. You click on it, it'll pop up a little box that asks you, put your name, what you're coming in for, and then you can choose either phone or Zoom right now if you wanted to, and then a counselor will be with you in a couple minutes if you wanted to just do a quick question. In-person stuff, like right now our front office is open, but we're not encouraging in-person appointments for now. If you, for whatever reason, like you just really needed to, I definitely advise just contact us ahead of time so we can set up, we got to make sure we have a space available and all that kind of fun stuff. But as far as, getting connected with us, yeah, a couple of different ways you can do that. In addition to emailing Jill directly with all of your questions, because she's a rock star.
Thanks, Jake.
And finally, do you have any advice for graduating or returning students?
I think for graduating students, just to make sure your ducks are in a row, the next steps, like Drake mentioned, if you're going to be transferring through auto admissions, or if you're going to be going to the mainland, finding out what you'll need to do, your next steps, on how to apply. For the trade students, actually reaching out to the training coordinators already and trying to find out, when are the dates to apply? What do I need? Do I need a resume? Do I need an application? Do I have to take an industry test? And so it's just knowing your options. And then tips for returning students, please connect back with us. If you are returning to Honolulu CC and maybe it's been a few semesters and you want to get back into the program, maybe your program has changed or the program requirements have changed. So please check in with us, and bottom line, check in with us and make sure you're taking the right classes. Any tips, Drake?
Do what Jill says. I think the only thing I can add to that is just, for returning, graduating, even just as I would say, as a life thing, just always, if you're not sure about how to do something that you want to do, just ask questions. I think there was some point in my life when I realized that, when I was in high school and early in college, I'd never asked questions because it's I was ashamed to ask questions. And at some point I realized I was if I don't ask questions, I'm not gonna get what I want. And not in the sense of I'm not gonna be able to get an ice cream or something. I'm not gonna be able to, understand how to pay my rent or how to get a job and things like that. And so I had to force myself to just say, okay, I'm gonna ask this question today, or I'm gonna schedule a time to ask this question because I was nervous about it or something. And the more you do it, the more comfortable you'll get with it. And I think it's a really good habit or skill to develop, of just being okay and feeling more and more comfortable. And it's not easy at first sometimes, especially, but the more you kind of just try and ask questions, the more comfortable you'll feel with it. And it's okay to even just ask questions about, not knowing where to start, or something that you feel like you should know, because if not, the bigger issues is you're not going to be able to get the answer you need to be able to do the thing that you want to do. And I found that, for the most part, people are more friendly than you would think, and willing to help. But the best tip I would just say is ask any questions you have and ask them early and often.
Thank you guys again so much for spending this afternoon with us and answering our questions and helping us understand more about the process of graduation and the process for registration and all the advice that you guys gave us. We hope you guys have a wonderful afternoon and then enjoy the rest of your week. Thank you guys again.
So much.
Thank you so much for
Thank
having
you
me.
guys. Yeah, thanks for having us.
Take care.
You too.
Thank you guys again for listening. Just a couple reminders for returning students and new students. Whenever you're coming to campus, make sure to use the Lumasite app. You can use the online one at uh.campus.lumasite.com or download the app. It's available on Apple and Google. Make sure to wear a mask, and if you're planning to make an appointment, make sure to use Star Balance. You guys can also call your academic counselors or email them at HonCouns, HonCouns, at Hawai'i.edu. For more information on campus updates and available services, make sure to visit honolulu.hawaii.edu/COVID-19 services. If you guys are interested in making a difference for Honolulu Community College, consider becoming a student leader just like us. Make sure to email hccsle@hawaii.edu on how to apply. We really encourage and appreciate your input as active students of the Honolulu campus community.
Art and Soul submissions are open. If you have any artwork that you want featured in our Art and Soul website and the chance to have it featured in our upcoming Art and Soul magazine, be sure to submit your artwork to tinyurl.com/HCC Art and Soul. Drawings, paintings, digital art, photos, poems, song lyrics, woodworking, sculptures, fashion, cosmetology, metalworking, and more are welcome. So please submit your artwork to tinyurl.com/HTC Art and Soul.
To listen to more episodes of Kala Podcasts, go on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and Anchor. New episodes every Monday. Check out thekala.net for campus news and events, and make sure to follow us on Instagram to know more at HonCC_SOD and at HTC Kala News. And remember, if you are graduating, make sure you fill out your graduation form by March 15th.
I know I have to.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, Jill just bounced right away. All right. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know if we're still recording or not, but anyways, thank you guys for having us. Thanks for working out with our trying to figure out who's talking. So that worked out well. But yeah, how's the semester going for you all?
It's going good.
Doing great. Yeah. Ending strong.
Yeah, survived so far.